G'day and welcome back to the vlog. Look, I'm outside today in the cold winter weather. Weather during the week has been really crap, but on the weekends, which is really when it's important, it's been lovely and fine. So, hey, can't complain about that. Now, over here in this part of the screen, you'll see my mini quad, or an image from my mini quad, because on the weekend, I flew over 400 feet high. Oh my gosh, yes, that's right. I flew over 400 feet high. Normally that is illegal. Normally it's against the law in this country. There is a regulatory limit of 400 feet, unless you have a NOTAM, which is a notice to airmen, to let other people, mainly manned aviators, know that you're going to be higher. So that's what happened on the weekend. There were some model jets flying here, and there was an extension of the height limit, so we were able to go greater than 400 feet quite legally. And you would think, well, that's good. A NOTAM means that full-size aviation are aware that there could be models higher than 400 feet, so they'll take extra care if they're coming near, just to make sure, perhaps fly a little bit higher so they're not going to be, at the same altitude as you. Well, that was the idea, but to be honest, it didn't work out that way. And this is a pet peeve of mine. Drone flyers and model flyers are being hammered by regulators. You must follow these rules. You must not fly within so far of an airfield. You must not go over 400 feet. But there seems to be no similar enforcement or emphasis with full-size aviation. To give you a clue, obviously we wanted to be totally safe on the weekend, so we didn't rely on a NOTAM, and legally we still, because we're at an airfield, we had to have spotters, and we have a radio, which is just as well, because I think there were 3 or 4 aircraft. If we hadn't had all 3 of those things, we could have been in trouble, because they obviously did not read their NOTAMs. They did not know there was model flying here. They did not know that models could be above 400 feet. A couple of them came in and they expressed amazement that there were models at the airfield. Oh, look. Oh, well, someone was on their flight and they said, oh, going around, I can see model aircraft on the airfield. Well, they weren't actually on the runway. They were actually off the airfield, but to the side. But they decided to go around because it caught them by surprise. Oh, my goodness. Why did it catch them by surprise? Well, they just flew straight in. Another plane came in, and they didn't even call up on the radio. Well, they did. They called on the radio, but they used the wrong frequency. So we had our radio there listening out for aircraft and didn't hear this one coming, but the spotters saw him coming. So he obviously didn't read the NOTAM, so the NOTAMs were ineffective. The radio was ineffective. The spotters caught this plane coming in, although we heard it as well. We needed 3 things to compensate for the fact that the pilots are not following the rules. Even the advisories, they're not following them. So the problem is that from a regulatory point of view, every country in the world has decided that unmanned aircraft must always give way to manned aircraft. And what that means is that if there is an incident involving an unmanned aircraft and a full-size aircraft, it's always going to be the fault of the unmanned aircraft operator. Because that's just the way the regulations are written. So even if we had done everything right and we'd had a collision, it would have been our fault. And as I've said before on these vlogs, it's kind of like blaming a pedestrian for being hit if a car mounts the pavement and crashes into them. Get out of the way. The pedestrian should give way to the car, even if it's on the footpath, even if it's going up a flight of stairs, even if it's in your bedroom. It's your own fault for getting in the way. Not good enough, because now there are more unmanned aviators than manned aviators. There are more drone pilots and model flyers than there are pilots. And there are more unmanned flights every day than there are manned flights. So somewhere along the line, the regulators are going to have to say, well, we need to put a bit of the burden of responsibility onto the manned aviation community, and we need to give a few rights to the unmanned aviation community. The way I look at it is, if a pilot wants to endanger his own life by not reading the NOTAMs, by not having his radio on the right frequency, by not doing an overhead rejoin to reconnoitre an uncontrolled airfield, make sure it's safe to land, if he gets into trouble, well, it should be his own damn fault. Now, naturally, as I said, we took every step to make sure that didn't happen. Nobody wants an accident on their conscience. So we make sure, we go the whole thing. Safety is a high priority here. So we did it by the book, and just as well we did. But at some stage, the pilots are going to have to start taking responsibility. And you can't keep blaming us guys forever. And there you go. Now, if one of these pilots had come in on the wrong radio frequency, without reading their NOTAMs and without doing the appropriate overhead manoeuvre, and they had seen a drone and they reported it to the regulator, what do you think would have happened? Of course, would have been in trouble. Oh, what are you doing flying a drone? No, so there you go. Anyway, that's by the by. Time for something completely different. Last year, earlier this year, last summer here in the Southern Hemisphere, I wanted to lease this airfield, this busy, busy airfield. You can see all these planes coming and going. You can hear the noise of planes overhead. Not. This deserted airfield. I wanted to lease it off the council who own it and put it to good use. Now, back in 2010, I organised an event here called the Kiwi Pro Bro. It was a model flying event. It attracted people from the entire length of the country. I think we had probably 50 or 60 people came to this fly-in. It was a fantastic success. There was, it was a wonderful sunny weekend. People were flying all sorts of stuff all over the place. Nobody was hurt. No babies were harmed. It was a fantastic. Everyone said that was one of the best times they'd ever had flying models. And I'd like to do that again. Of course I would, because the hobby is about enjoying yourself. So I want to have another big event here. And in fact, I want to have a series of events over the summer, because every year I get people coming from all around the world, from Europe, from the UK, from Americas, from Australia, from Africa, South Africa. People come, just about every country in the world. Someone has come here to look at the tower, to look at Microsoft Hill, to have a fly here, because there's always an AXN or a quad or something floating around here. People can have a fly if they come. So I really enjoy having people come here and doing that. So I wanted to organise another big event last summer. Unfortunately, the council said, oh, no, you can't do that. No. And I offered them $1,000 a month to lease this airfield. And is that a lot of money? Well, let's compare it to how much they actually made out of the airfield. There are landing fees at this airfield. If you want to land your plane here, you've got to pay $10 to land your aircraft here. So you'd think that over the period of a summer, there'd be, a reasonable amount of money would accumulate at a busy, or even at a relatively quiet airfield. So I did an official Information Act request. What's that bird? I filed an Information Act request to find out exactly how much money this airfield had earned from the landing fees. And I thought, well, I'll be generous. I'll ask for the period from the 1st of November 2016 through to the 31st of March 2017, 5 months. And I thought, I wonder how much they earned instead of my $1,000 a month. How much did they earn from landing fees at this airfield? And you can have a guess now if you like. I'll just have a guess. If you feel like it, put it in the comments, and then you can come back and change it later, because I'll tell you how much they earned. They earned $25. That's right, not $250, not $2,500, $25 over 5 months from landing fees at this airfield. $5 a month. Honestly, and when you think about it, if a landing cost $10, how the hell did they earn $25? Did someone do a touch and go and pay half? I don't know, but that's it. So I offered them $1,000 a month, and they earned $5 a month instead. And I offered to fill our motels and cafes and restaurants with visitors coming to this airfield to enjoy model flying here, and instead, $5 a month. That's all they got. So I'm going to do it again this year. For next summer, the summer of 2017, 2018, I'm going to go to the council. I'm going to say, I want to lease the airfield and bring people to the town. You keep talking tourism, you want tourists coming here. Well, I can bring them here. But you've got to let me. They're not going to come here just to watch the grass grow. There has to be events. And to have events, you need someone in control who's prepared to put in the time, effort and resources to organise these events and to manage these events and promote these events. And that's me. Look, that's me. So I'd like to do that again. Now, obviously have to sway the council, and they're not easily swayed. So what I would like you to do is to put a comment in the bottom, or in the comment section of this video, if it's the sort of thing that you would like to come and enjoy, whether it's from down country or on the other side of the world. Remember, this is the southern summer, so while the people in the northern hemisphere are freezing in the cold and the snow, you could come down here and enjoy the sun, the beautiful warm days and flying models. And as a bonus, there is another big air show just down country in the South Island at the end of March. So if you were coming here in mid-March, you could travel on down country and see warbirds over Wanaka. It's a fantastic air show. I think it's the best air show in the country. It is full of World War I, World War II warbirds and all sorts of stuff and displays. Peter Jackson, the director of The Hobbit and the Rings trilogy, he's involved in it. It's a fantastic thing. You just don't want to miss it. So if you're looking for an aviation getaway, hey, come to Tokoroa in mid-March, go on down to the Warbirds air show at the end of March. Fantastic holiday. Doesn't matter where you live. Great thing to do. Come to New Zealand and do that. And we'll let you fly an AXN and quads and all sorts of stuff at the same time. So have a think about that. And if you're interested, put a comment down there. I'll be doing another vlog. I'll probably be inviting you to contact the council and tell them that you'd be eager to see this happening, even if you just want to see the results on YouTube. And to make it more exciting, I'd like to see people. I know Chad Nowack is keen to come to New Zealand and thrash my ass with a mini quad. because he's so much better than me. Everyone's so much better than me, but I'd really love to see Chad out here, final glide. And I'd like to see Thomas and Paul Bitmata come out as well. You know, Thomas is, again, the Australian drone racing champion. And there are other people around the world. Hey, you know, what about Mr. Steele? Do you want to come out? Come out, mate. Come and have a fly out here in the wonderful sort of southern summer of 2017, 2018. And maybe the flight test crew or the rotor right crew would like to come out here. Hey, how about if I'm going to organise an event, why don't we make it something like Flight Fest Down Under and make it just a huge, huge event? And just invite people from everywhere. Even some Australians could come. You know, we'd limit the numbers, but we could let a few of them come. It'd be a fantastic thing for the hobby in this country and a fantastic spectacle for everyone to watch via YouTube and all the videos that would obviously come out of there. So yeah, I'm really keen. I want to get this going. I want to see something positive happening for this town and for the hobby, for everybody. And this sounds like a great thing to do in the next coming summer. So yeah, as I say, have some thoughts about that. See what you think. If you think it would be great to have a Flight Fest, get hold of the Flight Fest guys and tell them, hey, you should be talking to Bruce. And talk to Chad from Rotor Riot. And all the people that might be interested in doing something here, you know, remind them, hey, could be a good place to come. And then we'll get the council on board and then we'll get it going and it'll be the most fantastic summer of model flying ever. Well, until the next one. There you go. Now, the final thing I want to talk about today is damn regulators and their tests. In the UK, they did some tests. You know, they fired drones at aircraft to see what would happen. It's a good idea. Fantastic idea. It's essential. We have to do this. The problem is that they're not telling us about it. They're telling us sort of some airy-fairy outcome, but they're not giving us details of the tests. They're not telling us, you know, the small details. Why not? And I think I know why not, because the information they got probably doesn't fit the hysteria model that they're using to generate regulation. They probably expected that the smallest, tiniest little drone being thrown by an old lady at the cockpit of an airplane would smash through the windscreen and kill the pilot, but it didn't happen. In fact, word has leaked out that the force required to go through the cockpit of an average airliner, through the windscreen of an average airliner, is somewhere equivalent to a 4-kilogram drone impacting that windscreen at 320 knots. Now that's way beyond anything that's going to happen when someone's flying their Phantom at an airport. That's just not going to happen. For a start, you know, an airliner on approach, what are they doing? 160 knots, 180 knots perhaps, maximum? It's about half of the required velocity. And a Phantom, what, 1.2 kg? That's just over a quarter of the required mass. So the odds of a Phantom, even if it did collide with an airliner, the odds of that bringing down the airliner are very, very, very small. And if you don't believe me, have a look at this picture here. Look at this. This was an airliner, or a couple of airliners that were caught up in a hailstorm just a week or so ago. Look at the damage to the front of that aircraft. It's obliterated by the hail. Yet the pilot landed safely. Now, he couldn't even see out the windscreen. The windscreen had been completely rendered opaque by the impact of hailstones. You know, it's like that safety glass that just goes all white when it gets all shattered. But they still managed to land the aircraft quite safely. No injuries, no deaths, probably a little bit of poo and undies from some of the passengers, but that's about the major thing that happened. So is a 1.2 kilogram plastic drone going to bring down an airliner? Well, a whole flock of Canadian geese was what it took to bring down the American Airlines flight into the Hudson. I don't think one plastic drone is going to really cut it. So perhaps this is why the regulators aren't releasing the details of these tests, because it makes them look stupid, that it requires such a heavy drone at such high speeds to cause the kind of damage that would potentially cripple or bring down an airliner. So yeah, of course they're not going to release it. They're saying, oh, it's security. It's for security reasons. We can't release it because if we told you how much it took, then terrorists could use that information and bring down airliners. Well, what a load of twaddle letters. I fly mini quads, not that well, but I fly mini quads. It took me a lot of practice to be able to go through a gate without wrecking the gate and the quad. Even today, I can't really, I'm not very good at going through gates. And gates, big holes, 2 metres by 2 metres. Flying a mini quad at, maybe 50, 60 miles an hour maximum, it's really hard to fly a quad through there. So how the hell is somebody going to fly a 4-kilometre drone into the windscreen of an airliner travelling at 320 knots? I don't think they can. You can't do it. It's just not possible. Even Chad Final Glide couldn't do it. It's just too difficult. So this hysteria, this utter hysteria on which the regulators are basing their must register, must do safety courses, must blah, blah, blah. These facts would dismantle their case for such draconian regulation of small recreational drones. So that's why they're not telling us. And it's not fair. It's not fair at all. What do you think? Tell me in the comments section. That's about it for another vlog. I'm running out of card. I can see the little thing flashing on the camera. So questions, comments in the usual place. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. If you're not a subscriber, what are you doing here and why aren't you subscribing? Please subscribe, and there's a little bell or something you click on. I don't know, they tell me to do that, and then you get notified when I put up another vlog, so you can know to stay away from the channel until that's gone. Isn't that fantastic? There you go. It's dark, cold. I'm going home. Bye for now.